He used to be the guy who always said yes. Yes, even when he was tired. Yes, even when it hurt. Yes, even when every cell in his body was screaming, no. He was the dependable one, the good one, the one who'd stretch himself thin just to make sure no one else felt an ounce of discomfort. He didn't ask for much in return, just to be seen, appreciated, respected. But the world doesn't reward goodness, it exploits it. So they took and kept taking, until he was nothing but a shadow of himself, working a job he hated, for people who never paid him, not in money, not in gratitude, not in loyalty. Do you know the worst part? He thought that was love. He thought that was what it meant to be good. But here's the truth. You're always there, quick to reply, quick to help, quick to show up, and yet, they don't respect you. They don't value you. They barely even see you anymore. Carl Jung would have called this your silent suicide, because the more of yourself you give away freely, the less of you remains. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you said no without explaining yourself? When was the last time you paused before replying to a text? When was the last time you walked away, not out of anger, but out of self-respect? If you're feeling drained, unappreciated, invisible, it's not because something's wrong with you. It's because you've been taught that being good means being available, all the time, to everyone, even those who would never do the same for you. But here's the twist. The more available you are, the less valuable you become. Because what's always there is always taken for granted. And that, right there, is how your kindness becomes your curse. But this isn't the end of your story. This, right now, is the part where everything changes. The part where you begin to realize that being too nice is not kindness, but actually self-abandonment. I knew a little boy once, sweet, soft-spoken, the kind of child who said sorry even when it wasn't his fault. His parents were devout Catholics. They taught him the gospel before he learned how to spell his name. Turn the other cheek. Love your enemies. Be a good boy. God is watching. So when the punches came at school, when the insults rained down like stones, he didn't raise his voice. He didn't fight back. He folded, forgave, silently cried in his pillow at night, and prayed for the courage to endure it again tomorrow. He wasn't weak. He was conditioned, taught that kindness meant surrender, that love meant letting people walk over you. That silence was noble. But no one ever told him that abandonment isn't holy. It's how your soul learns to disappear. One day, the bullies came again, louder, meaner, ready to break him, just like they did every other day. But something shifted. This time, he didn't bow. He didn't pray. He snapped. With tears in his eyes and rage in his fists, he fought back, not out of hatred, but out of survival. And when he stood over one of them, gasping for breath, the others backed away. For the first time in his life, they saw him, they respected him. Because the world doesn't reward kindness without boundaries, it punishes it. You've mistaken being agreeable for being good, but over-availability isn't generosity, it's desperation in disguise. You say yes because you're afraid of being left out. You overextend because silence feels safer than rejection. You become who they want, so you never have to feel the sting of being unwanted. If you're still watching, you're not here by accident. Hit that like and subscribe button. Keep watching, the best part of the lesson is still ahead of us. Because this channel isn't for the people pleasers. It's for the quiet rebels, the self-reclaimers, the ones ready to stop dancing for crumbs and start dining at their own table. Listen, here's the brutal truth. Every time you betray yourself to be liked, you teach the world that your worth is negotiable. Carl Jung warned us, behind every compulsive niceness lies a shadow, a fear of being unloved, unseen, unworthy. Who are you trying to be for the world? And why do you keep ghosting yourself in the process? You think being too nice makes you lovable, but all it really does is make you invisible. There is a dangerous kind of kindness that looks like loyalty, but feels like a leash. You give, you show up, you stay consistent, you respond within seconds, you never complain. At first, they thank you, then they expect you, and soon they forget you. Because when you become predictable, you stop being remarkable. The boy who finally stood up to his bullies, remember him? He wasn't respected because he was kind. He was respected because he finally became unpredictable. Because he stopped complying with a role that didn't serve him. Here's something no one tells you. The person who is always available becomes furniture, useful, familiar, expected, but never admired. You're not the oak table in the room. You're the coaster they don't even notice anymore. Always there, always ready, never appreciated. You've been trained to believe that love is earned through service, that the more present you are, the more available you become, but the opposite is true. People chase what feels scarce, they treasure what they work for, they admire what they can't control. You? You're always on standby, like a loyal app running quietly in the background, waiting to be tapped. But apps get closed, tabs get cleared, and people forget what they didn't fight to keep. Your love, taken for granted. Your presence, uncelebrated. Your effort, unnoticed. And you sit there, wondering why they don't see your worth. When you've handed it to them on a silver platter every day without ever asking for a return. Carl Jung once said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But how can you become you when you're stuck performing the version of yourself that makes others comfortable? You were not born to be on call. You are not a placeholder. You are not background noise. But as long as you keep playing the predictable part, you'll keep being the one they remember last, or not at all. It's time to rewrite the script, to stop being easy to reach, and start being impossible to replace. Let me tell you something. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you'll ever say is nothing. Not I'm just tired. Not I've been going through a lot. No final speech to prove you're good, kind, or loyal. Just silence. Not out of spite, but out of self-respect. And that silence, it's loud. Louder than all your previous yeses combined. Louder than the way you used to beg to be understood. Because when you stop dancing for their attention, when you pull your light from the room, suddenly everyone starts asking, where did the sun go? You see, attention is addictive, but absence is magnetic. When you're always available, you become wallpaper. But the moment you pull back, the moment you stop reaching out first, they feel the shift. They feel your gravity return to you, and whether they say it or not, they feel the loss of your energy like a storm passed through. But this isn't manipulation, this is mathematics. Scarcity increases value, and your silence recalibrates your worth in their mind. It teaches what your words never could. That your love isn't a charity project, that your presence isn't a default setting, that you, too, have boundaries made of steel. You show people who you are not by how much you give, but by what you no longer allow. You used to complain yourself to exhaustion, hoping someone would finally say, "You're right, you deserve better." Now, you just leave the room. No door slammed, no messages sent, just your peace reclaimed. Because silence, when rooted in self-worth, isn't cold, it's clarity. And if someone only feels your value when you disappear, they were never seeing you. They were feeding on what you gave. So don't be afraid to go quiet, not to punish them, but to find yourself. And in that stillness, something magical happens. You begin to hear you. Listen to me, because I'm not done feeding the truth. There is a role you've been playing for so long, you've almost convinced yourself it's you. The nice one, the helper, the one who listens, fixes, absorbs, softens, sacrifices. The emotional band aid, even when your own soul is bleeding. But lately, something's slipping. You find yourself zoning out in conversations that once felt familiar. You say, "It's okay," when it's clearly not. You smile with your mouth, but not your eyes. And sometimes the silence you give off feels more like a scream. That's not you falling apart. That's the mask falling off. Carl Jung called it the persona, the social costume you wear to belong. But here's the catch. The longer you wear the mask, the more you forget the face underneath. And maybe you've started to forget. What do you want? What do you need? Who are you when you're not who they expect you to be? Behind every fake yes you give, there's a silent no trying to claw its way out. Behind every moment of being the bigger person, there's a storm of unspoken anger and a graveyard of buried boundaries. And that storm, it's coming. The passive aggressiveness, the burnout, the sudden ghosting, it's all your real self trying to break through the lie, because the mask that once protected you is now suffocating you. And if you don't shatter it on your terms, life will do it for you, loudly, painfully, and without warning. So here's the terrifying truth. What if the person you've been all along is a performance? And what if the real you, the one with needs, boundaries, opinions, anger, fire, isn't too much, but the exact version of you this world has never met? The cracks in your mask aren't weaknesses, they're windows, and if you're brave enough to look through them, you might just catch a glimpse of something extraordinary. Yourself. But are you ready to meet the version of you that doesn't beg to be liked? Or are you still trying to earn love by being someone else? Drop your answers in the comment section. You see, there's a pattern. You feel it every time your phone lights up. Their name appears, not out of joy, not out of care, but out of need. They only call when your life is burning. They only text when their world is crumbling. They only notice you when no one is answering. You're not their friend. You're their fallback, their emotional ambulance, their human fire extinguisher. And you keep picking up. You keep showing up. You keep bleeding empathy for people who never even ask how your heart is holding up. Carl Jung once said, "You are not what has happened to you. You are what you choose to become." So why do you keep choosing to be someone's emotional janitor? Why do you keep rescuing those who never once stayed to sweep your broken pieces? Every time you respond without hesitation, you teach them a dangerous lesson. That you will always be there, no matter how recklessly they appear. They treat your kindness like convenience. Your presence like plumbing, only noticed when something breaks. And you've accepted this, because somewhere along the way, you confuse being needed with being loved. But need isn't love. It's a habit, a leash, a slow theft of your worth, disguised as connection. And maybe it's time to let the phone ring, to let the silence stretch long enough for you to be missed, to see who checks in when they don't need saving. What happens if you stop being the hero? Will they even notice you're gone? Will they find another shoulder? Or will they finally stand on their own? This isn't cruelty, it's clarity. It's choosing yourself after years of choosing everyone else. The truth is, some people only love the version of you that serves them. But your soul was not born to be a spare tire for the emotionally unavailable. So the question is no longer, how do I get them to treat me better? It's this. Why haven't I left the fire they only call me to put out? Listen, warriors. It is time to start protecting your psychic energy like your life depends on it. They never warned you, did they? That kindness without boundaries is a slow suicide. That being open to everything eventually invites in anything. And not all of it is good. Your energy, your life force is not infinite, it's sacred, it's currency. In every conversation, every favor, every time you silence your no, you spend it. Carl Jung called it libido, not the lustful kind, but the deeper inner fire that fuels your thoughts, your dreams, your sense of self, and yet, you spend hours like it was on sale. People didn't even have to knock, you left the door wide open. Come in, sit down, take what you need, take me. And take they did, not because they're evil, but because you never showed them there was a cost. You taught them that your time was free, your emotional labor was free, your soul was free. But here's the truth they don't teach in Sunday school. Your peace is not public property. Spend your energy on chaos, and chaos will make itself at home. But invest it in clarity, in calm, in the people who pour back into you, and peace will wrap itself around you like armor. You think you're being generous, but generosity without discernment is spiritual leakage. You're bleeding, slowly, not from wounds you can see, but from the thousand tiny cuts of saying yes when your gut screamed no. You've got to learn to plug the holes, because no matter how big your heart is, you can't sail a sinking ship. So here's the uncomfortable question. Who, or what, is drinking from you without ever saying thank you? And why do you keep refilling their cup when yours is running dry? You protect your phone with a passcode, your car with a lock, your home with a key, but your energy? You leave that exposed like a light in the middle of a desert, attracting every moth that needs warmth. But what if, just what if, you become less reachable and more powerful? Because maybe the life you want begins where your energy finally ends up in the right hands. It is time to go from availability to authority. This was never about becoming distant. It was about coming home to yourself. Because there comes a point when you must realize your light is not for every room, your love is not for every hand, and your energy is not for every soul that demands it. You are not an emotional ATM. You are not a forever open door. You are not responsible for fixing what others refuse to face. Your presence should feel earned. Your attention sacred, and your silence, it should echo louder than all your over-explaining ever did. This isn't pride. This isn't ego. This is authority. Authority over your time, your energy, your identity. Carl Jung didn't teach us to vanish. He taught us to reappear, not as fragments, but as someone whole. And that becoming begins the moment you stop showing up for those who never once showed up for you. And maybe now is a good time to tell you something. That little boy I told you about earlier in this video, the one who kept turning the other cheek until it bled, the one who was too nice, too soft, too scared to fight back, that boy was me. I learned the hard way that niceness without backbone invites cruelty. That over-giving is not virtue. That becoming someone the world respects starts with no longer abandoning yourself. And that's why the Far From Fake movement exists. Because we're done performing, done pretending. done being everything for everyone and nothing for ourselves. So if this video touched something in you, like it, comment your story, I'll read them all. Share this with someone who gives too much, and subscribe, turn on the bell, because we're building a movement and I want you in it. Here's the quote I want you to type in the comments alongside your story. The moment I stopped giving my energy to chaos, peace found me and I embraced it. Now, tell me, when did you realize you were giving too much? Because I'm listening, and I promise you, this is just the beginning.